Bachman's Basement is a Boink Studios production. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to Bachman's Basement, the place where we crack open the dusty crates of Stephen King's mind. Tonight's story doesn't give us a monster to fight or a mystery to solve. It gives us a memory, one that never lets go. I'm here as your host, Chris Patton, and as always, here with my wonderful co-host, Chris Clawson. How are you doing today? What have you been watching? What have you been up to? How's the family? How you been in general?
I'm doing well. Family's doing really well too. Let's see. So watching, I watched that. I can't remember if I talked about, I watched that series on Netflix, the Black Rabbit. I really enjoyed that. And I can't remember if we talked about that. That might've been more than a week ago, actually. I haven't watched too much else since then. I decided to flip back from Avatar over to GTA, and I'm way further along in that now. I'm like, Michael's family's back in the house, and well, obviously, I had to go do the mission as Franklin and get Michael free, and then Michael's back, and his family's back, and yeah, I'm quite a bit further along in the story there. I think I'll have that finished up here in the next week or two.
You're so close. You're so close. You're right.
I know. I need to find the fire engine. And then I'm ready to do the mission with the FIB where you go in and get the data. So I found the getaway car, and now I just need to find the fire engine. So
yeah, man, you're trucking right along. So you might finish it this year.
Well, I might finish it in the next week, actually. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do GTA 5. You and Nate have both been giving me enough crap about it that I'm like, you know what? I need to finish this. It's been long enough.
I feel like it's more on Nate. I've been giving you crap about it for 5 years. So it seems like it did not get very much movement for me giving you crap about it.
Well, he didn't know, and now he knows.
Oh, see. It's the osmosis of listening to the Bachman's Basement that has push the listeners against you to finish Grand Theft Auto 5. Right. They're like, how has this man not finished this game?
Anyway, I'm really enjoying it. It's been fantastic. How about yourself?
I played a lot of new video games. I played this game called Dead Static Drive, and it's a pretty cool. Talking about Grand Theft Auto, it's isometric, so it kind of has the feel of the original Grand Theft Auto games. As far as it being like top down, the animation's like this really neat shell shade comic look. The characters, they're kind of drawn, but not like heavily as far as like the character details and stuff. And it's very much like you start out, the landlord's knocking at your door, and you don't have any money to pay him. So you sneak out the back door, you hop in your car, and you just start driving. And then as you drive, you encounter these different characters, and they kind of join in with you on this journey to go find your parents. Your parents you're trying to get back to your parents, and then they all have their own individual stories for each character you pick up with these individual kind of side quests and missions. But it's set in like this like Lovecraftian Cthulhu like apocalyptic world. So there's all these like different kind of space monsters, and like well, not only when you want to call them space monsters, there's a meteor that's like cracked open this dimension that's got all of
otherworldly horrors.
Yeah. And so you kind of start out and you're raiding different places to get like different types of weapons and guns, and throughout that, you're trying to keep your car together. So you got to make sure that the car is gassed up, that it's not damaged, and all of that. And so there's a lot of management to it. It allows you to just break into the other cars and pick them up, obviously, as you go through. And there's tons of different cars and different storylines, but it's really neat. The music's pretty good. You can tell it's a smaller game. I think it's only like 6 gigs total. So that it does get kind of repetitive with some of the music, but the gameplay and everything about it is pretty fun. It's got like a little bit of a twin shooter feel when you're like shooting guns and stuff. So you got to get kind of used to that portion of it as far as like how you aim. And that's kind of what draws the comparison some to like some of those older Grand Theft Auto like top-down isometric games, especially in the way you drive. But the way you drive is kind of cool. Like as you're cruising along, you'll use like the L and bumper and R bumper to kind of switch the position of the camera so that you can follow the car a little more easily as you make different turns and follow to your path on the map. But it gives it this real cinematic feel that you're kind of in control of, which was really, really neat. And the other game I played was 1000X Resist, which it's really neat sci-fi game. So it's kind of, you play this character. There's like 7 sisters. You're playing as the Watcher, but there's like the Watcher, the Listener, and a few like kind of these different people that all are underneath the Mother. And what has happened is there was a plague that kind of started, kind of like a COVID type deal when the Watcher was in high school, or the original Watcher was in high school, because it's like cloning herself. So it's this weird thing where you're time jumping as far as the game goes. So you're time jumping to kind of have these different moments in time to figure out what happened to the Mother, who is like the person you worship in this future realm that you're coming back and forth from. So you're going to these different places and you're kind of time jumping to figure out her story and the story of each of the characters. And clearly the Mother is not who she claims to be, and maybe not as good of a person as has been predicted to these, these 7 different other characters that are kind of her, the other 7 different gods underneath her, or the things that make up the Mother, I guess, is kind of, it's a hard one to explain. It won like a ton of awards for like it's an indie game, so it won like a ton of awards for like best indie game and like a ton of stuff, all these different game festivals. And I saw it was free, so I picked it up and started playing it. And story was, I'm sorry,
it's called 1000X Resist.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, so it's not normally a kind of game I would play, but I got sucked into the story. Like if you're into sci-fi time travel type stuff, it's one of the better stories I've played in a long time in a video game. It's worth playing. I'm only in chapter 3 of it, so I've not finished that one yet. That's like, I think like 10 hours in for me. But yeah, it's kind of a slower paced game because you want to go and talk to kind of everyone. Like every time you go back into one of these memories of the Mother, you want to go and try to talk to everyone because you kind of want to unlock more of that story. And it's something, there's not like a ton of action gameplay. It is more like playing almost like a visual novel to some extent. The gameplay aspects are more kind of puzzle solving of how to get into different rooms and stuff, because if you're blocked out of a room in the current day, when you time switch, that might be open, so you can flip back and forth to get in and out of rooms, and vice versa.
You haven't played, but I think we talked about like Alan Wake is like that too, where you can flip between like it's a different sort of mechanic. I mean, it's the same mechanic, but it's a different thing that's happening. But exactly where it changes the reality that you're in or the time that you're in for that space.
Yeah, it's very much like that. And then it has the story progresses as you answer questions with the characters, and there's a bunch of different endings. And then it seems like one of those games you could play multiple times and get different outcomes, even within the same memory that you're playing. But yeah, it was really, really neat. It's a very well written game with some pretty good voice acting, and Yeah, like I was kind of just blown away with it. I was just looking for something to play on Saturday morning, trying to get some gaming in case the power went on Saturday. Here in Georgia, we have had a bunch of weather, and as people know, if it freezes here, a lot of times trees crack, and then there's no power, and then there's obviously no video games. So I played a bunch of new stuff. That Dead Static Drive I spent a lot of time in. I'm pretty sure that I have finished Dead Static Drive. It's not really a game you can I don't know that it has like just one set ending, but I'm kind of like, I've either hit a hard lock in the game or I'm completely missing something. I did have a character die early on that I got to figure out. I'm gonna have to do some research online because I'm pretty sure that they respawn at some point and you can go pick them back up. But I think I go find that one character that died to finish the like I'm on like one of the last few missions of that game. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've played and done as far as watching stuff. Just nothing too much, man. Just a lot of Law and Order, and then whatever my wife's been. She's been watching School Spirits, so I've been watching a little bit of that. The new season of School Spirits is out. But yeah, I didn't come with a B movie this week.
I guess the other thing, and it hasn't been me like intentionally watching it, but Cassie's been rewatching all of the MCU, and so I sat down and watched Endgame and the one that comes right after, it's the Spider-Man right after Endgame, No Way Home. And I forgot how much I love those movies. Those two in particular are really good.
Yeah. I guess the Doomsday trailers got everybody hyped about MCU again.
Right? I mean, it's always a fun sort of escape, to get back into the comic book MCU.
Yeah, to me they turned out so many bad movies. I've had a hard time kind of giving anything else they've put out a chance. I'll probably check out Doomsday though.
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, that's sort of go back and rewatch the good old tried and true movies that all the way through. I guess I don't know. Like I even liked Multiverse of Madness. I know a lot of people didn't like that one, but I think up through Multiverse of Madness, and the one other thing, a couple that are on Disney Plus that are series that I think are great is Agatha All Along and the Marvel Zombies. Both of those are worth a watch for sure as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Like I said, I kind of took a break from the MCU because it was almost at some point it was like, and it's what I said, and what I kind of said was going to happen back when I used to do the wrestling podcast, and these movies would get brought up. It's like these things are kind of going the way of the Western, where they're turning them out too fast, and the quality is getting lower. And the characters the characters that they're focusing on aren't characters that I would necessarily care about, even just as a comic fan.
Yeah.
But there's been some good ones that have circulated. It's just, it became a thing like where it went from, oh man, you gotta go to the movie theater and see this, to I might check that out when it hits Disney Plus.
Right. I think Disney's learning their lesson, and they kind of learned that with both Marvel and Star Wars, where they churned out a little bit too much too fast and the quality suffered. And now they're kind of starting, and they realize, okay, one, maybe two movies a year, maybe one or two series a year, and that's good. That's all people are willing to give in time.
Yeah, and they've also like kind of pulled with Doomsday, they've pulled like the emergency shoot here a little bit. They're like, okay, come on, guys,
bring everyone back.
Bring everyone back, pay them absurd amount of money, and make this crazy trailer that. I mean, pretty much everyone, any kind of podcaster, YouTuber that talks about any kind of film related stuff has been talking about this Doomsday trailer. So, which I have not seen the trailer for yet. I just know that it exists, and a lot of people are really hyped for it. So I should probably go check that out.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great. That movie obviously is coming at the end of the year, like in December, close to Christmas. But the other one that's obviously not Marvel that I'm really looking forward to this summer is the Chris Nolan's The Odyssey. And you might have saw Cassie post on the internet where she's all like, No disrespect to Chris Nolan, but they already did it perfect with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" And I was like, facts for sure.
Yeah. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Yeah, that's a classic movie.
For sure.
Friends, some of your phone money's coming stowed. It's the first thing I think of for whatever reason with that movie. But yeah, I love that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen that as well.
Right.
It's got a ton of great actors in it. John Goodman's in that, George Clooney.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's a classic story for one, and then it's just a really well sort of re-envision, of that classic tale, turned into I wouldn't even say a modern, it's still an old time, but just not nearly as old as the Odyssey.
Yeah, it's such a fun take of that story as well. The soundtrack is so good too. There's lots of Krause and Union Station and
bluegrass.
Yeah, Jerry Douglas. A lot of bluegrass and later, was like contemporary bluegrass, I guess, with Alison Krauss and Union Station. And it's a good soundtrack. It's fun. It's a fun movie. That's a good one I haven't thought about in a long time.
Doggy Bottom Boys.
All right, so we're doing a little bit of a shorter story for the listeners out there, which is The Man in the Black Suit. Are you ready to dive into that?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the story opens up with an old man looking backwards at his life. It's not really kind of a confession or a ghost story. It's just a moment that kind of refuses to fade in his memory, the horror that lives in his memory itself. It's set in 1914, rural Maine, by a riverbank, a normal summer afternoon. The horror kind of arrives uninvited without bad decisions or warning. A stranger in a black suit appears where he does not belong. Calm, polite, deeply wrong. Fear grows through the detail rather than the action. That's kind of the synopsis of the story as far as like the setup goes. How did you feel when you started listening to this or reading it back? I know it's been a while for you. You told me that you kind of finished it before we got in here. Any initial thoughts before we dive into any of the meat here?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the just the level of detail that King gives to the man in black in this story, being obviously the devil, but just the level of detail and description to his personage, to what you see, and it just like, I don't know, it just kind of like gets under your skin. The horror of the story is really sort of like getting into the shoes of this, little boy who is now an old man on his deathbed writing the story. But it's, it's one of those like stories that it's like it takes you back to remember being a kid and how something, is so real. So, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the word, but it just like, it just ingrains itself in your memory, and that him seeing this, seeing the devil dressed up like a man in a black suit with those stove lit eyes, that are burning behind the eyes. It's just like, I don't know, it's just so well described. I love this story. Yeah, I'm glad you picked this one.
Yeah, so as I noted, Gary is our main character here. He's 9 years old. It's set 1914. His world's kind of small, ordinary, nothing crazy. It almost has the vibe of the way they're writing the character is a lot of Stephen King kid characters, right? Like almost to the point of some other novels that we've talked about, where it's just he's kind of in his own little world, fishing line, summer heat. His brother's laughter, they're kind of describing all this, and he wanders down to the river alone, doing what kids do, kind of killing time, feeling older than he actually is. And then the man appears. He's dressed very neatly, as we described, black suit, polished shoes, but he smells wrong. And the way that they describe how he smells is just something that has stuck with me and sticks with me. It's described as being sulfur and rot. like something dead trying to pass as being alive, kind of like
Right.
like the living dead.
Like a lit match that has burned down, so that sulfur smell, along with when he breathes on him at some point in the story to kind of just bring him to attention. He breathes on him, and it's like the description of that, like an outhouse that has had no cleaner applied to it, or a rotting, a rotting body of a dead animal. It's just like, yeah, if you've ever smelled those things, which most people probably have, it's unpleasant. And it certainly, the description, that's the magic of the written word versus something that you watch. It's like your mind can take you and make you, smell those things. Not that you necessarily want to, but it's like, it's more visceral, when you read things like that.
Yeah, it takes you to the time something died in your wall.
Right.
That you're like, oh, gross. I know exactly what that is. And yeah, and then we kind of get into the conversation itself. The man in the black suit, he knows a bunch of things that he shouldn't really know. The conversation starts simply enough. He's, where are your parents? What's your name? Normal questions, but something in the way that he asks them feels very invasive and predatory. Like he already knows the answer and just wants to hear Gary say them out loud.
Yeah, I mean he's the devil being the Lord of Lies, but he's so certain in the way that he tells things, and he knows, like you're saying, he knows things that he shouldn't know, like his name, his mom's name, his brother's name, and all the things that have happened to them or haven't happened to them, but with a certainty that it's like, it makes the lie that he tells him so undeniable, and it's terrifying. That it just makes for an excellent ghost story. It's a short and sweet story, but there's just something about the way that King captures characters, and like you were saying, with like when he tells the story through the eyes of a child, like he just knows what it's like to be a kid, and like the mindset of a kid, that you don't have all the pieces in place yet in your head about what it is to walk in the world.
Yeah, it's very much that when you're a kid, you're not as afraid as maybe you should be, right? Of this, but you're afraid. You just don't quite grasp of the danger that you're potentially in, or the things that are potential threats to you a lot of times. And
a lot of the description of, like obviously his brother had died from a bee sting, and then he falls asleep, while he's fishing, and then he wakes up to a bee on his nose, and then this man shows up and claps his hands, and the bee falls dead in his lap. And it's just like all of these things happening. You just feel like you're right there in this. It's such a unsuspecting, normal setting. Like a lot of people can relate to. It's like being a kid, playing out, on a stream, trying to catch a fish, and that's just terrifying to think. In this case, it's a supernatural being, but yeah, just very unsettling.
Yeah.
Sure.
And yeah, for sure. And the man in the black suit, he clearly knows about Gary's brother, and he starts peeling these layers back of Gary, as we've talked about. He knows about his illness, the weakness, which is the bee sting, obviously, and kind of the fear the family carries because of that. And he knows things that basically no stranger should know. And then not only that, but he delights in saying them. Very slow, very deliberate, watching the fear rise inside of Gary. And at one point, he actually asks him if he's ever tasted blood. And that lands really hard in the story itself, because suddenly, like, it's, that riverbank is completely unsafe at this point. childhood isn't safe, and this world has these teeth that Gary did not expect to see when he went fishing.
Yeah, I feel like even though this story has never been brought to the screen, this one is ripe for this one, if told correctly, could be a classic. I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's also one of those ones that if you got the right two actors, there's not a whole lot more that needs to be done other than these monologues, right? Like, I don't know, get Tom Waits as the devil. Let us see what happens.
Right. It doesn't require a whole lot of special effects, although you would need a little bit, with the eyes of the devil. But otherwise, like, it's a lot of just, it would just be the setting and sort of like performance that would just make this work so well on the screen, I think.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that no one's tried to do it, because even though it's a short story, you could draw this out to like an hour and a half movie for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could give more backstory on Gary's family if you wanted to, and kind of show that on the film, some things that we don't get here that could be drawn out a little more.
Yeah.
But the majority of it is just the devil talking to Gary. But yeah, the man, he doesn't chase Gary. He's not threatening him outright. He's simply just revealing himself a little inch by inch until the truth's unavoidable, that this isn't like a criminal or some crazy madman. It's the devil. And Gary slowly starts, realizing this. It's a devil not with horns or fire or what's depicted as the devil in the Bible in a lot of sense, but as a presence and intelligence that kind of feeds on fear, grief, and inevitability.
Right. And another thing that's described is the way that the devil speaks is so calm and like a matter of fact, just like he's got a calming voice, but the things he's saying are so unsettling that it's really, kind of makes the hair on your arm stand up.
For sure. And then he starts cracking into Gary, and he's he tells him that his brother will die. Not cruel.
His mother, yeah.
Yeah, that just casually, like he's stating the weather. And then he lets the boy go. And that's kind of the cruelest part. Gary runs, he vomits. He kind of survives. He grows up. He has this full life, marriage, children. But as he's an old man going back and retelling the story, this encounter has never left him. And the man in the black suit kind of has become a permanent landmark in his mind, something never going to get over. So even now, old and near death, Gary isn't sure what frightens him more, that the devil came for him once or that he might come again. It's just kind of where we get to the end of the story. And once again, not one with a brilliantly happy ending, because it starts with a man kind of on his deathbed. But yeah, it's a great read. It's a shorter one this week, but that's
well, it's not the saddest story. The ending's not sad because he doesn't die at the end, but he's obviously at the end of his life, but he's writing it down because he knows, and he doesn't care that nobody believes, that he knows that nobody will believe the story, but he's like unburdening himself because he's carried the weight of this experience his whole life, and he just needs to get it out, and that I thought was really cool. He writes it down in a journal and leaves it on his bedstand.
Yeah, I think this is one you can kind of take either way, because it's the way he positions it that he thinks that he's going to hell almost as well. Like,
you could certainly draw that conclusion,
but the devil is, will the devil come again, basically, as his life winds down to a finish. But it's I could see where you're coming from with that, though. Getting the story out, even if no one's going to believe it.
He says it at some point, and then he's writing it down in a journal that was given to him by his great granddaughter, who he can't remember the name of because he's old man and he's maybe only met her once, and because he's old and in a retirement home. But he's just writing the story down because he needs. He knows that somebody will read it, and whether or not they believe it isn't the point. It's that he needs to just rid get it out of himself.
Yeah, and this is this one's kind of cool in a sense. It's King very restrained, like as far there's no big spectacle really,
Right.
and no big mythology dump of why this is happening or anything. It's just one single memory in this man's mind, kind of that has either grown as a story over time, or sharpened itself because he was 9 when this happened and he's at the end of his life. Like, was this what happened, or is
81 years ago at the point of writing the story? Yeah.
And it's kind of weird because like everyone's had like a very uncomfortable meeting with someone, right? Was it something like that, or was it actually a devil? There's a lot that's kind of left up to you. The way it's described is it's the actual devil, but it's also one of those things is like how much of the story is that?
Certainly an allegory of never talk to strangers when you're a kid.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that kind of takes us to the end of this one. Did you have a Bachman score for this?
Yeah, I think I would give this one a solid 7 out of 10. Kind of settled on that just because, I mean, it's a great story and it's well told. It's not my favorite. The King just has too many good stories, and I can't give them all 8s, 9s, or 10s, but it is worth a read, and it's not very long. So that's my score. How about you?
It's a tough one because it's such a great story, but we've read so many good things here through this show that there's a lot that's kind of in perspective of it, even just if we're looking at it from like something like The Long Walk or The Body, for instance, of kind of not the same kind of thing, but similar stories from the mindset of younger minds, like child minds, and the horrors around the world that kind of occur, and then them kind of writing back, like The Body specifically.
Yeah.
And I think it's done a little better, but this one's unique in the sense that there's only really 2 characters. And in the discussion of the man in black himself, the man in the black suit in general is inherently terrifying, right? Just in the way that he's presented. I'm going to give this one, I think I might go with a flat 7 on this one. I think it was
matched up.
yeah. I almost went 6.5, honestly.
I know
I just want more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it leaves you wanting, simply because it is a short story. Some of the details of Gary's family are more just like passing. They're just sort of an afterthought because it is a short story. It's like, all right, you understand what transpired, but it's not a big part of the story as described. So yeah, that certainly I understand why that, I live for the details as well.
Yeah, and it's almost like I want multiple of these. I wish it was its own little different, like own little novel with multiple of these.
Like an anthology of the devil meeting people.
Yes. I feel like he could have done 10 more of these and I would have been really happy.
In different times, different places, in the city, in the country. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. Old and young alike, that would be very sort of like an interview with the vampire, but it's like, a meeting with the devil, an unsuspecting people. Yeah, that could be a pretty cool concept. Maybe we need to write up a letter and send it on over to Steve King. Like, dude, do it.
Send it on over to Stevie King. See what he thinks. Hit him up on the Twitter.
Yeah, that's right.
He posts there sometimes.
Right.
But that's going to wrap it for us today. Do you want to go ahead and give your socials and say any final comments about the man in the black suit?
Absolutely. Yeah, you can find me on Facebook at Christopher Clawson or on Instagram, Chris_Clawson 1982. And yeah, with regards to this story, I think it's a fantastic short story, and King has several hundred short stories that are in publication. So this one certainly above average and worth a read if you're a fan of Stephen King.
And for me, it's at Christopher.R.Patton on both Facebook and Instagram. Check out www.boinkstudios.com for all of the content that we release. I got some neat stuff coming up. I'm actually doing a watch along of Princess Bride, which will be on 6M this coming week with Tom Clark. Also, Ray Sports and Slams is out there if you like sports. When we talk about wrestling and sports, you got the Tom Clark's Main Event, which is your weekly live Facebook and YouTube, etc. live show. It also goes out in podcast format as well, where he talks about everything happening in the wrestling world. So tons of content out there for everyone to check out. There will be a new episode of the Patton Report. It's been on a little bit of a hiatus. I needed to truck through some games. So if you are interested in hearing a full breakdown of Dead Static Drive or 100X Resist, that's coming soon, as well as just talks about new games coming out this year, some thoughts on Fable, as I've played through Fable 2, and we've gotten some more information about the Fable series itself, as well as some new gameplay and footage of what that game is going to look like. So there'll be a bunch of details packed into that show. It'll be a larger one than normal, hopefully with some gameplay if I can get my capture cards working properly. But yeah, that's it for me. And to wrap it up, the man in the black suit is horror without comfort. Monster introduces itself, and then he waits. You ever find yourself in a riverbank? Make sure to look over your shoulder. You never know who might be there watching.